This is the CHRILLCAST. I'm Chris.
I'm Larrue.
I'm Nyarly.
And I'm Spencer.
And if you notice Will's missing, it's because it's a week all about JRPGs and he's allergic to them. So here we go. Before we get started reviewing DAVIDCAST JRPGS channel, why don't you guys tell everybody about your channels?
So, I guess I'll go first. I'm Larrue. I cover Megaten content usually, but also Atlas in general, and very rarely just random other nonsense that I like. So if you like deep dives about like the development of games or like what's going on with Megaten, I'm your guy.
Yeah, I do similar stuff. I do a lot of Megaten and Persona videos sometimes, videos about lore sometimes, videos about gameplay sometimes, videos about just things I'm thinking about regarding the series, like the video I did for Challenge Run Ideas. But yeah, and also on my second channel I have a podcast that I do once a month, but I'm not really on a schedule. I just kind of do it whenever it's convenient.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, I'm Spencer. I am part of the Doing My Own Thing on YouTube, where you can find me at Spencer Presley. But probably a little more excitingly, I also run a community/podcast called Shin Megami Tensei Network, where every week I talk about such said games and go on way too many tangents that mostly don't refer around barbecue sauce and perfume.
And I actually discovered Spencer through Nyarly, so you thank Nyarly for this friendship we've developed, Spencer.
Thank you, Nyarly, for the only reason I'm well known online. I'm just gonna post off you for the rest of time.
You just got that rope on your coattails, man. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I appreciate the fact that I've gotten to know you, Spencer. You're awesome, man.
Thanks, man.
And we need to do VitaCast, so I'm gonna keep greasing those wheels.
I gotta bring it back. Unfortunately, I have this dumb stick up my butt where I'm just like, you know, it's a great idea is to do this show where I only interview people who work on this system that's dead, and everyone who is still working on it is busting their butt trying to make games happen before the cutoff happens in February. So it's I'm sure it'll be one of those things that, like, once it's officially dead, it'll be the easiest thing ever to get people on the show.
Fair enough. So today, guys, we're going to be covering DAVIDCAST JRPGs for Tuber Tuesday, which we cover every Tuesday, a different YouTuber, which means, Larrue, you're probably next when we do another Atlas or Shin Megami Tensei channel review. You'll be probably the next guy on the list.
We need to get the CHRILLCAST a soundboard. Like, every time you say Tuber Tuesday, I want to hear like Tuber Tuesday.
Hey, you know what? If anybody could do that, I probably could. I've got a background doing that kind of stuff. I don't know why I haven't made a soundboard. I really need to. So thank you for that suggestion. I will make it happen eventually.
Just clip that out, man. Just use that. Just don't even edit it. Just throw it up there.
Tuesday. All right. So today for DAVIDCAST JRPGs review, I'm gonna give you guys some stats. He's at 1.4K subscribers. That's 1,400 subscribers. His channel was created on November 28th, 2014, but he only recently started uploading this past year. I'm a little jealous of that fast growth he's had with his channel. Good on him for that. And his total number of views on his channel so far has been 100,336. That's pretty quick. If you want to find his channel, it's youtube.com/DAVIDCASTJRPGS, DAVIDCAST The description of his channel says, "Welcome to my channel where I will cover different topics from the video games industry. I like to discuss and cover different gaming news, especially on anything Atlas and JRPGs in general, but mostly Atlas. You can expect from my channel a new video every Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. 9 a.m. Pacific Time. That's a 3-hour difference, like the time zone between myself and some other people on this podcast. Discussion videos on various Atlas and JRPGs. DC Talk, that's DAVIDCAST Talk. I always thought it was DC Comics Talk because I was an idiot. DC News episodes about Atlas and JRPGs. A weekly live stream, which he calls the Demon Appreciation Podcast, or the DAP episodes. And then reviews. And then it says, important, if you are doing a donation to the channel for it to be used for giveaway, please tell me. That's important, I would imagine. And then it says, don't hesitate to comment or message me. He's really good about responding to people who comment or message him. And then, just some information about his general podcast. So what do you guys think DAVIDCAST JRPGs is known for? I'll give you my brief synopsis, and then we'll dig into it. He already said it. Discussion all things Atlas. reviews of new JRPGs, like he did his 13 Sentinels, his Aegis Rim video. He's being very open to communication with fans and other creators like myself, because that's how we got him on the podcast. He's very open to that kind of stuff. And he's actually really fun to work with if you've ever gotten a chance to do so. I think all of you guys have. Maybe, Larrue, have you gotten on his pod? You have? Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, actually. I've actually, I don't know if I've been on his podcast, but I've worked with him before, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Before we jump into that, his first video, what do you guys think it was?
Yakuza. We're keeping it. We're bringing it back. It's all for a circle.
Was it Yakuza?
It
Yeah,
is.
Yakuza 0.
Yakuza 0. Is it worth your time? That was his first video. Got 200 views, and now it has 21 likes. You're welcome, David. And it's a pretty good little breakout video for his channel. It's earlier this year. Given everything going on, he had a lot of time in his hands to do this. I think that's what he told me. He's like, I had a lot of time, and I really wanted to do this. So I thought, you know what? Now's the time.
Fair enough.
And then, do you guys know what his most popular video is?
It has to be a Persona 5 related video, I imagine.
I'm gonna say, I bet, if I recall, I think it's actually a SMT 5 reaction or a TGS reaction.
Yeah, I think it's related to SMT 5 in some way.
Yep, that is exactly correct. It was a, but it was the game, I'm sorry, was it Tokyo Game Show? TGS? Yeah, it was Tokyo Game Show reaction for 2020, and that was what he was expecting, the P5S. And they didn't really get it.
Well, that was an amazing TGS to cover, just because even going into it, I was like, guys, nothing's going to happen here. People were like, SMT, it's going to happen, guys, SMT, we just saw it in June. Like, we're going to see it. Let's go. And even going out of it, being like, that was pretty bad. But hey, those are always, like, the most fun streams when you can just, like, collectively just, like, beat it up in front of it, like say what you will about New Game Plus Expo, but it has been super fun just to dog on how much of a terrible show that was.
Yeah, and I think the one before that might have been his Persona 6 speculation video. He said he got some of the most interesting responses ever on that video, because it was like people writing novels about what they wanted to see in Persona 6. But
it's really weird. Like, I don't know if you guys seen it. Like, I'll find people, like, especially like a couple, like, I know, like David does Persona 6 videos, and the Midnight Channel also does them every now and then. And it's like, it's so funny to me to, like, think about, like, making a video on, like, I even said this yesterday on David's podcast. I said, Persona 6 is so nebulous. Like, there are probably people on YouTube who have put more thought into it than the actual dev team. Like, that game is in such early production. Like,
Dude, it's gonna be like, it's gonna be at least 3 years before we get a trailer.
Yeah, but it's like that's like always. But like, what's so funny is like it doesn't matter about the reality of it. Like, look at like how popular of a video that is for him and other channels out there. Like, people love speculating on that. Like, it's as if it wasn't a yearly iteration.
I mean, I'm actually working on one right now too.
let me tell you how bad of an idea this is for a video. And they just be like, we're doing it.
Well, I mean, it's not really about Persona 6. It's just me looking at the best and worst aspects of every Persona game.
Oh yeah, because yours is the like designing thing, right? Of like designing around. I think though, if you want to just be like extra algorithm scumbaggy, just put the word Persona 6 ? Exclamation point at the end.
Okay. I'll also put Gone Sexual Cops Were Called.
Hold on, guys. Look. This was his 100 subscribers special, was when he did a Persona 6 video. That means he didn't even have 100 subscribers when he put this video out, and it's got 3,000 views. That's pretty awesome. That's
actually amazing.
So, good on you, Dave. I'm going to try to reframe this back to the DAVIDCAST JRPGS review that we started with. So, why don't we talk about some things we like about David's channel?
I love, honestly, one of my favorite things about David, he's been I've collaborated with him a couple of times, whether it be on his channel or on the podcast, whatnot for me. I really appreciate he rides that line very, very well. Interested fan, very optimistic for the future, but not afraid to be pretty pessimistic about like the present. And that doesn't even just have to be about Persona or even SMT stuff. I like his sort of thing for it, because he's definitely in that camp of that I don't see too often. Of he's not like been raised in like a born and raised Atlas fan. He's definitely more of a modern fan who is now looking back and looking forward at the same time. And I always love getting those perspectives. of people who are like honestly, I wish I could do that. Like if I could like just like wake up in 2020 and like wipe my slate clean and get to experience all these games, new and old, for the first time, like that'd be so fun. Because like when I was playing all those PS2 games, I was playing that like along with all the other PS2 games and stuff like that. So it's always really fun, like getting those. Not only like getting those experiences from other people, like kind of living through them vicariously, but I just think David does like a good job of not only showing how passionate he is about Atlas specifically, but also kind of writing that line of like, hey, let's like talk about this from like my specific lens, because for like as many people out there who might be like, because like one of the rare things I always think is really fun is like I literally started with like Revelations. There's not a lot of people who are fans still who started with Revelations back in the 90s who are still current fans of the modern day stuff. So like the fact that like he's kind of got like that certain angle for it, like I really, really appreciate about him. Also, he's just a super fun guy. He's just a good guy. Give him a follow on Twitter too.
100%. Actually, Spencer, funny you say that. My first Persona game was in 2014 with Persona 4 Golden.
Fake
and I went backwards.
Another fake fan on the podcast.
I went backwards from there all the way back to Revelations.
See, like for me, if you want me to be like instant friends with you, just have your first Atlas game be the weirdest possible. Like I'll never forget. Like I have a friend who has probably as big of a collection of stuff as I do, and his first game was Ultimax. I'm like, that's awesome. Like imagine that being your jumping off point for everything. Like that's just so crazy.
So I also appreciate his perspective because I share some of his perspectives in that aspect.
Also, you just gotta love a Canadian YouTuber. There's just something about him, man.
I think that's one of my favorite thing about him is that, like, I'm not like a huge YouTuber, but I do get to talk to a lot of the different like content creators, and generally you get like you can kind of get a vibe from different people, and David, like he's one of the people that I never felt like he was talking to me just because like look I'm Larrue. He was talking to me because it was one Megaten fan to another. So like when I think my first time interacting with him is when he asked me to contribute to his video about like what got us into Megaten, and it's just cool because first of all he didn't put me on a pedestal, which is annoying to me. I don't like that. But also,
are there people who do that?
Yes, it's obnoxious. I don't like it.
I need to find Larrue stands right now. Everyone in the comments.
They exist. They exist, and I don't want to. Like, I'm afraid if I ever get like to a Nyarly level of subscribers, like I don't want stands. Nyarly has stands too.
See, because I've been friends with all of you guys for so long, like it weirds me out, the idea of that like being a real thing, of just like for like the longest time like no, it's the person I met like 7 years ago. They're still the same person.
Yeah, but David is cool. He just gives off this really friendly but like sincere vibe, and when he talks about things, he's willing to consent or change his opinion, but he also has like a pretty open mind. In like Spencer was saying, I think that's like a very valuable asset to have when you're making content, especially opinion-based content, is to be able to go, oh, actually, I was kind of wrong, or to even just see another perspective is just, you don't see that. A good thing, like I was in his podcast yesterday, I literally joined halfway through sentence, and he was actually going off about how upset he was, not like upset, but he was disappointed how vocal Scramble fans had been about that game getting news or talked about in the West compared to 5, because obviously 5 is a whole different beast. Probably a lot more classic fans want to hear from that. And then I went in and I told him, like, hey, dude, this is such a different thing. Like, imagine if Scramble had been announced in Japan back in 2017 and we got our first trailer for it in July of this year. That's what it feels like. These are just such totally different beasts. And then talking about it, we bounced a couple things off, and it was like, you know what, hey, I get that. Just like Larrue was saying, like, not only willing to listen, but then obviously see the different like viewpoints, whether you agree with them or not. Yeah, and he's cool. He doesn't give off any bad vibes. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but some people, when you talk to them, you feel like you get this vibe that they're only talking to you because like they want something or whatever, or that they see you a certain way. It's cool to just have someone see you as just another fan, because that's all we are at the end of the day. We're just fans of this franchise, you know.
See, I don't put anybody else on a pedestal. I just put myself on a pedestal. No, I'm just kidding.
You should.
See, that's why I'm at the top of the totem pole here. No, I'm just kidding.
At least I'm number 2. I'm number 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Nyarly, what do you got to say about DAVIDcast?
I just well, I was mostly gonna say what Spencer and Larrue said, but I just like the amount of diversity there is on his channel. Like, he's got a little bit of news, a little bit of like retro stuff, a little bit of vlogging, a little bit of speculation and discussions and stuff. And he also has a pretty frequent upload schedule.
Yeah.
I was hoping you were gonna stop after pretty. He's just pretty, man. Look at him on the camera. Just get a look at that bug.
Fair enough.
Also, he posts about collecting, and I love that. I love collecting. Anyone who collects things, instantly cool.
He bought recently on Twitter a copy of Catherine 360 and mentioned me because I called him out for it. I was like, you have an Xbox Series X, and the first thing you're putting in on it isn't Catherine. Like, you're doing it wrong. You got to see that game in 4K HDR. Let's go.
If he had a Japanese console, it would be Shin Megami Tensei 9.
Oh no. Yeah, that.
Uh-oh.
That Phil Spencer comes over to your house and it has a stern talking with you.
Dude, if he ever comes on my podcast, that's my first question. Shin Megami Tensei 9, Phil, when's it coming?
I guarantee you, Phil Spencer does know what that is. I can at least confirm that. He's aware of that game.
Oh, also one other thing, for his thumbnails, he uses the same font that I used to use.
Does he really?
Yeah.
What font is that?
It's Megaton 20XX.
Huh.
Oh, nice. I use this one called Joysticks because I like it because it's almost arcade-ish, but not really.
Yeah, I use wow, I'm drawing a blank here. It's like Guild Sims something. It's like the YouTube font, what YouTube was before YouTube switched fonts.
Now I use Birch Standard, which is what the title for SMT5 uses.
For the record, Atlas basically just uses Adobe's like default font book because even the Print Club font, I found it because it's in the default Adobe like font book. They just use whatever's there.
All right. Well, now that we all know where the font comes from, DavidCast, following suit with Mr. Nyarly over here. What are some things that you guys think David could improve his channel with?
Actually, I do have one. This is actually something that's kind of been bothering me for a while, but I haven't actually told him about it. But like in the picture, his profile picture, it kind of looks like he's cross-eyed.
Now, what if I told you he is cross-eyed? How dumb would you feel?
Oh. What?
By the way, I love that's like your immediate complaint. You're looking a little cross-eyed.
I mean, like I've seen him. I guess I've never noticed it.
No. I have no idea if he is or not. But it's just one of those funny things of like, just imagine if he was. Like, imagine if the first thing is like,
There you go.
I'm gonna tweet at David on Twitter, and by the end of this segment, we will have an answer. I will hopefully find out. Are you cross-eyed? We'll just make this as public and embarrassing as possible.
Oh, jeez. I did tell him we're reviewing.
I'll do it as a DM, but I'll say this: Nyarly wants to know if you're cross-eyed.
We'll tell him based on the profile picture. At least he can come from the perspective that we're in right now.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. It feels like he's on the show with us right now.
Yeah. But I mean, I've seen his videos, and I guess I've never noticed it if he is.
Maybe he just hides it well. No. Larrue, what about you? You got anything for him to improve his channel with?
I think his thumbnail game could step up a little bit. For me, I'm very simple-minded when it comes to thumbnails. I want it to just be whatever the topic is with easy-to-read font. If you look at my thumbnails, that's basically all I ever do. So for his, they're super busy at times. Sometimes it works, like the Yakuza ones, because I'm like, oh, I know that's Yakuza, or this Persona 5 one is good, but then the font choice makes it hard to read.
Like, for example, this Game Awards thumbnail, I don't really know what's going on there.
Yeah. Because
you can barely read the Game Awards.
So it's mostly if he just tweaks the font, that'll like improve it. Like the Digital Devil Saga one there, if the font was something a little bigger and easier to read, that would like make it stand out more, and I think that would make it a more powerful video. Like, I know that's superficial, but apparently that matters.
Well, sometimes it's just so hard to find a font that actually sticks out from the image you're using. So like I've been doing just for a little bit of advice if he wants to take it or not, you know, whatever. I've been putting like lenses over some of the images just to make them either darker or brighter to make the font stick out better.
Well, actually, that is another thing I would say. I'd say to put borders around the text because I'm noticing he doesn't do that.
Yeah, like, I do a stroke and a drop shadow to like make it pop off.
Yeah, like I like highlight the whole thing and then I grow it and then I just basically just put a black border around it.
The process of
Nyarly. I would say kind of getting more into the actual like critique or whatever of each video. I would say just because he does do so many different things in terms of here is me maybe talking about just like SMT 5 for something, or maybe doing like a top 10, because he's already like kind of self-committed himself to such a strict, not even strict, obviously. None of us are really doing this like it's our job, but because like of how much he does put out within like a week or so, I think it would actually help to maybe try out like a themed like of like, hey, let's do like top 10s on Fridays, let's do like news on Mondays or Wednesdays, or let's do like podcasts on Tuesdays.
Spencer's
and like
stealing my format
on Thursday.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that one's more of a like, obviously because the way you have it sort of split up with it, but even like something like me, like I do the podcast as long as nothing goes wrong, obviously. Every Tuesday I have an SMT and podcast, and it's just like one of those things of like, I'm sure having that kind of helps just in terms of like keeping people around for it. And obviously if it was like something you're just doing with news or you're just doing like top 10s, a little loosey-goosey with it is a little bit better, but because it is mixed around with podcasts or having news or top 10s, like stuff like that, you might find uniformity helping a little bit.
I can see that. In a way, his content reminds me of mine because the way he does it, like because it's varied, it could be like a sanity thing. When you have a schedule, like for me, it bothers me to do the same thing every single time. So like I always make one video a week, but whatever it is, it's basically just in like contingent on what I'm interested in writing about for that week. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a little bit of that, a little bit of what news is dropping, if that's worth talking about, or if there's a lineup of people that he has ready for his podcast. I think it could be just many like of that sort of thing maybe. But I do think that consistency does help as a viewer, because I like as a creator I like being spontaneous, but as a viewer I want to always see if it's a Tuesday upload, then it's gonna be Tuesday, let's do the podcast or something.
Yeah, that's why we've stayed really strict to our schedule over the course of the last 2 years. But we've gone away from our thumbnail branding, like Spencer said. Big, easy to read font. I've learned my lesson on that, because like I tried to put Chris Raygun in this title, but it didn't all fit. So I was like, you know what? Raygun review. Everybody will know what I'm talking about. It's good to go. Mm-hmm. So just the biggest font. Like for example, my DAVIDCAST JRPGS interview, I screwed up the font, and it doesn't. I could do a better thumbnail than what I did. I didn't do you justice, David. I will fix this thumbnail eventually.
all this talk about thumbnails, and then here you are doing the man dirty.
Oh, they've gotten way better. Look, they've gotten way better. Okay, I just want to say, okay. But I do find it funny that our review of Nyarly's channel got more views than our interview with Nyarly. Something's wrong with the analytics there.
Clearly, people like Nyarly content. They just don't want to actually hear him.
They want to know what other people think about him.
Here's my top 10 Nyarly videos not hosted by Nyarly.
That's like that book situation you guys talked about earlier.
Oh my god, yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I should do for episode 200 of my podcast? I'm just going to bring Larrue on, and I'm going to give you every episode thumbnail art from the last 200 episodes, and you're going to have to do the tier list by yourself. Just you're going to have to rank every thumbnail podcast art I've ever done, and they all range on various sizes. And be like, so this week he clearly had no time and just went into Microsoft Paint and just made a thumbnail. And then this week he had way too much time, and so we're going to put that up to the B class.
So, of David's thumbnails, which one do you think is his best? Something that he can baseline.
Oh, that's a weird thing to say. Like,
I kind of like his thumbnail. P5S one here, because you can kind of see, it's really simple, but also says a lot with the thumbnail.
And he used an art that's not super like saturated, so I would click on that just because the art's not the one that I always see for Persona 5 Strikers. So I kind of vibe with that one. I really liked his Nocturne one that uses the Tsutaya boxer. But I don't know what it's about until I read the actual description title of the video.
Right.
But whenever it's something like that with like striking art in a like cropped in a way that's like nice and you get a clear picture of what it's about, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Do you guys have any predictions for his channel? Where's he gonna be? I guess December 31st is coming too quick now for us to say where he's gonna be at December 31st, 2020 at this point. So why don't we say where's he gonna be in June of 2021? How many subscribers? Where's his channel gonna be?
I think he's gonna have 10,000 by then.
Yeah, I was gonna say somewhere between 5 to 10. If he keeps it up this like at this rate, I think especially with all the news that's coming out from like January, February, March, yeah, no problem, at least 10.
Yeah, like especially if SMT5 does come out, we're like, if it comes out before then next year when he covers that, that's definitely gonna help.
Yeah.
What about you, Spencer? Where's your prediction at?
So give me again what's the end date for the prediction? Just because I'm actually thinking a little bit hard here.
June 30th, 2021.
See, there's just so many weird factors that like, it's tough because like, it is one of those things of I could see there being a lot of news, and then I could also see there being not a lot. But then also, like I think it's been impressive how his channel has grown so much in a year of like 2020 wasn't like that full of like Atlas news. Like I think it's fair to say that for the most part after Royal things kind of died. Like even for the company's perspective, they're pretty quiet about themselves. So I could see it going over, but I think just to like be safe here, I'm gonna pick anywhere between 4 to 6K, just to keep it a little more realistic.
7,500. That's my goal.
Yep.
That's my goal.
Right there.
That's my thought. All right. I'm gonna revisit this one next June and bring Dave on and be like, Dave, did you make it? And he'll be like, yep. And I killed it.
7,500,000 actually is what I'm at now.
7,500,000. That's not even a number.
It is now. He made it up. That's how popular he got in those like 6 months.
Well, with that being said, I think we can end this video right there. So as always, I'm Chris.
I am Larrue.
I'm Nyarly.
I'm Spencer.
And if you're not subscribed to these guys, go do that right now. I'll have links in the description below, and to Dave's channel too. You know, everybody gets subscribers. You get a subscriber, you get a subscriber. Yeah, whatever.
Will's even gonna get subscribers.
Yeah.
Who quotes Oprah nowadays?
All right, we're done.